We are the Institute for Intuitive Intelligence, revolutionizing intuition by training spiritually fierce women globally as qualified intuitive guides. Subscribe for the leading research and teachings on the conversation of intuition development. I am coming to hang out today and really just share some feelings that I have. You know, I like sharing the feelings that I'm having, giving you little updates on what's going on for me. But what's really sticking out for me is usually something that I can feel is in our collective consciousness and something that I can speak to and perhaps offer some direction or guidance around. You know, I use this word direction in the sense of the way a spiritual director operates in the world, and unlike a counselor or a coach or a psychic or someone who might be, you know, answering questions for you, that idea of a director is someone who directs your soul, who is providing opportunities for you to meet yourself in infinite ways, in that unlimited way. And just so you know, if you want to join us in I Am Spiritually Fierce, November is the month where I will be offering some guerrilla style, on the spot, stop, drop and devote spiritual direction opportunities if you feel like you'd like to go deeper into your own soul nature. This month, all very random at, you know, my discretion, probably 24 hours notice. There'll be a combination of different activities. So come on, find the post, pop your name on it, and you can join us in that glorious challenge, I guess it is. It's an opportunity for us to gather together. But what I want to have a chat with you about today, this little mini masterclass, often I'll be sharing on the same kind of ideas, but they will land deeper and deeper. And I think that's really when we can call that the getting of wisdom. So we might meet a big idea or meet a big spiritual concept, and then as we spend time with it, we live it, we embody it, we go on a journey with it, it will arrive in our consciousness more deeply. And one of the things I often talk about are these trinkets and superstitions of the New Age, and this idea that anywhere we're placing our personal power, our personal will outside of ourselves and saying, oh, it's just the way it is, I can't do any different because it's just that way. So for example, Mercury's retrograde, nothing's going to work. Everybody knows that. My computer's going to go glitchy and I'm not going to be able to sign contracts and blah, blah, blah. And there's this collective agreement in sort of, you know, spiritual circles anyway, that is a reason why we would not be able to show up in the fullness of our power. We could not be the full expression of who we are because of this particular planetary alignment. Now, without singling out any of these thoughts or beliefs or ideas, for me, anywhere or anything that asks us to be less of who we are in any given moment isn't us being mindful of our environment or considering, you know, what's happening in the world, but actually us buying into a limitation that cannot and does not exist because all consciousness precedes matter. So Mercury doesn't exist prior to consciousness. Consciousness precedes Mercury. And so when we are giving our power away by saying, well, because of that planetary alignment, or because of this energetic forecast, or because that particular psychic says the energy's funky right now, or any predictions that we buy into, which is someone else's perception of reality and not a universal truth, because there is no universal truth that could ever replicate that dogmatic, man-made, religious kind of idea of, you know, this is the way it is for all, and all will be having to suffer in the same way because of this or thrive. We're creating limits that, whilst they might make us feel safe because, oh, well, I can understand why my life's gone to shit because Mercury is retrograde, they're actually just giving us a reason to abdicate personal power and personal responsibility. So put it another way, if you are looking to the planetary alignments, or you're looking to any of these energy predictions or forecasts, or someone telling you that the energy is really intense right now and it's not a good time, you're reading your stars and it's not a good time to do this, not a good time to do that, you are saying, I am helpless. I can't do anything about this. It's just the way it is. And I'm going to abdicate personal responsibility, and I'm going to let it all just unfold in the way it will. And that
is deathly dangerous, because it means that at every level of your life you will be holding that perception in some way, and not just necessarily in regards to these spiritual trinkets and superstitions, and foregoing or forgetting the first law, the law of mentalism, all is one, that consciousness is an act of creation. Consciousness is creating matter, not the other way around. And that brings me to the title of what I was getting to with this particular mini masterclass, which is this idea in spiritual circles that we are creating reality. And this gives us a lot of permission to then go out and seek to get our ego's needs met. We're like, well, if I'm creating my reality, I'm going to create this huge income and all the cars and this hot boyfriend and this, and I'm going to create this, and I'm going to make sure that everybody in my life gets all of their ego needs met. And we think that's spiritual success. And I've talked about this before, and I do feel quite strongly about this. This is the co-opting. It's the black magic. It's the dark side of the way that we have been told that the fact that we are God and infinite, unlimited consciousness means that we can get all our ego's needs met. The very, very real truth is, as you awaken to what you truly are, which is infinite, unlimited consciousness, the last thing that you're going to do is go out and seek to get your ego's needs met, because you will no longer be living in that separation dualistic mentality, which suggests that the highest purpose of my spirituality and my intuition is to get things in the dream, when the dream is but an illusion. So it's very, very well, it's very uncomfortable for me to see the perpetuation of a spiritual faith as this really just the getting of the ego's needs, and to believe that that is the highest function of our spiritual seeking, when it really, really isn't. So yes, we do have the capacity to create our reality, but you will know, if you've tried to use your spirituality simply to get your ego's needs met, that it probably hasn't gone exactly as you would like it to. And no matter how many spiritual coaches there are out there misquoting or quoting A Course in Miracles to try to make you believe that there is this absolute right for you to be a success in the capitalist model, the very real fact is there is only one of us here. So any system in the dream that perpetuates the poverty, the vulnerability, the exploitation, the abuse of any other member of that consciousness would not be a system upheld by the soul. So your pursuit of a capitalist dream in the name of demonstrating your spiritual power, you see how these two statements are at odds. Now, this in no way means that you should not have all of your needs met. Because if you are in survival mode, it's very hard to be of service. If you're wondering where your next meal's going to come from, or any of these things, you can't be in the luxury of pursuing your soul. But I would like very much for us to debunk this myth right now, that because we do know that we ultimately do create reality, because consciousness precedes matter, and that is all we are pure consciousness, that means that the dream will behave like a capitalist, dream. or this idea of success being the attainment of stuff. No. Let's put down that idea right now, as uncomfortable as it might be for you, because many of us are seduced into pursuing our spirituality by vision boards and by this idea that the highest vision for our life is to make nice the human egoic desires. There's nothing wrong with having a beautiful life. And if you are in right action with your spirituality, it is highly likely that you will see the blessings of the dream rain down upon you. Why? Because you become a vibrational match for what is true, which is that all is one. So let me break that down a tiny bit for you. When we say we create our reality, what we need to understand is that we are doing that at the level of the collective as well as the individual consciousness, which is to say the collective, because there is no individual consciousness. That's just a lovely illusion that we buy into, that we're separate, and we're not. So nothing is happening in isolation. So all of my actions, both at the local and non-local levels, the 3D and the non-physical levels, are contributing to the health of that collective consciousness. So what I am living is both a contribution of my individual mind, what I perceive to be my individual mind, and the collective. So the truth, the collective soup is what we truly are. We are one mind, all is one. Therefore, if my highest goal is simply to get my own individual needs met, and I'm not approaching my faith looking at the health of the whole, which is this human experience that we're sharing, and I'm seeing suffering, and I'm not making my highest priority to be the cause of the ease of that suffering, then I am breaking the law, and I am contributing more of the sickness to the collective consciousness, because I'm like, well, as long as my needs are met, as long as my kids have got what they need, as long as everyone I know can eat and is healthy, as long as my Christmas is going to be abundant, as long as I don't have to wear a mask, as long as my nana doesn't have COVID, or whatever other thoughts we have, we honestly believe that that is somehow going to work when we understand the true law is all is one. And yet that is what is that idea? Well, what that idea is, it's a comfort, it's a superstition. And so we will engage in things that help us feel as though there's this order in the cosmos. That means sometimes it's just your karma that you're going to be poor and you're going to die over there, and it's not my job to try and fix this for you, because it just worked out that it's my karma, or I was born under the right planets, or I was meant to have this life experience, or whatever, when actually everything we're seeing is a reflection of the health of our consciousness. So where is my faith taking me? Is it taking me towards the contribution of something that is for the benefit of the collective, which is to say me, or is it perpetuating the sickness that I see around me? And so you might feel enraged as you watch this, US election, for example, play out, and think, how could someone like Trump either get so close to winning or win? What's wrong with those American people and this whole kind of, the system that supports that? Or you might think, great, because you're a conspiracy theorist and you're like, yay, Trump, it's a win for the conspiracy theorists, whoever they are. But either way, the idea that there is no need for you to take personal responsibility for what you are seeing is that evidence of separation and dualistic thinking that is the reason why we live in what is perceivably and arguably a very, very sick dream. Now, there is no judgment in that, but there is imbalance, and there is an absolute abdication of responsibility that I see in the spiritual world about the need for us to show up to that unhealthy consciousness. Sorry, my computer's just doing something weird. Go away, emails. My apologies, everybody, if my internet just went a bit funny. All right, so what I really want to offer, I guess, in this moment is the opportunity for us to shift our perception wherever we may be sitting in that dualistic thinking, wherever we're thinking that it's enough for our own egoic needs to be met, and if they get met, that means that we've done something right in the spiritual seeking, and that we are creating our reality in a vacuum. Regardless of which way it's worked out for you, positively or negatively, depending on your judgment of your life events, you are never operating in isolation, because that is a lie. There is no separation. There is only one of us here. So I invite you today to sit with that idea that yes, you are always creating your reality, because consciousness creates matter, not the other way around. But where you might be abdicating responsibility about that collective mind is really what I invite you to look more deeply at. And it's not comfortable, and it's not popular. And I know I'd be so much more popular right now if I didn't energy forecast for November, or gave you some kind of symbol that was going to supercharge your bank accounts for this month, or in some way gave you a trinket or superstition that would placate your littleness and give you a sense that something is okay because Ricky's given me this little thing to do, or this thing to imbibe, or and none of that is true, beloveds. And I'm sorry to take away that sense of, perhaps for you, a real big hope or comfort, but just as the addict will abdicate responsibility and say, I'm addicted, I couldn't help myself, I had to have the drink or eat the chocolate or do the thing I wasn't supposed to do because I'm an addict and I couldn't help myself. When we keep indulging our spiritual trinkets and superstitions because to know what the energy forecast says, or what that teacher's telling us is predicted to come up, or to look where the planets are, we're saying it doesn't matter, I don't have to take personal responsibility right now. I can step away from needing to be the full expression of who I am. And every time you make that choice, you're making that choice on behalf of the collective. And then you see a world that is nowhere near the full expression of what it could be, which is infinite and unlimited. And you wonder why. So, yes, you create your reality, but do not think you do that in isolation. And please do not think that the reality that you are destined to create is the one that your ego is calling for, which it isn't. That is called your comfort zone, and your spiritual evolution has nothing to do with your comfort zone. It is my privilege to serve you. I'm deeply grateful for those of you who show up and let me do my thing and, let me speak these ideas out, and to just remember that you aren't powerless at all just because you are not able to manufacture your reality in the way that you thought you were. But when you hand your life over to God, when you hand your life over to that infinite consciousness with no impediment, without any hesitation, without fear of what you will lose or hope of what you will gain, you will find all the riches of everything will rain down upon you, as above so below, as within so without. It cannot be any other way. But it cannot come first. That cannot be your motivation, because that is breaking the law. No other way to put it. So much love to you all. It is my privilege to serve you now and always. Bye.